Some volunteers and MPs say the proposed presumption clause is a good deterrent against high-rise littering, but they say that more surveillance and investigations are still needed. Under a proposed amendment to the Environmental Public Health Bill, flat owners or tenants could be presumed offenders should any litter come from their unit. Heidi Ng with more.
It may be just a piece of tissue paper or something more malicious. Authorities say there were nearly 30,000 reports of high-rise littering annually from 2019 to 2021. That's about 80% more than the previous 3 years. Grassroots volunteer Chua Jin Lai visits HDB blocks where high-rise littering occurred. He says there have been about 10 culprits in its HDB estate in Fengshan over the past 2 years, but only 2 were identified.
Based on the instinct, okay, if let's say this is a level 3 thingy, I will actually +1 and -1 floor to actually go down one by one to look at the column itself, the unit, to see whether does the item thrown down fits the description of the house.
Under the new clause, an owner or tenant will have to prove that they're not the offender within 14 days or be subject to enforcement action. That's a fine of up to $2,000 for a first-time offender and up to $10,000 for the third and subsequent convictions. Currently, flat owners are only required to provide information on the identity of every occupier of the flat at the time of the offence. MPs who have previously spoken about the issue in Parliament say the new rule is a good first step.
It would likely to provide another layer of deterrence. The owner of the flat or the apartment in the high-rise building would be incentivized to remind all the tenants in the flat not to litter. Otherwise, he will have to face the music, right? But if you see that a lot of people are being caught, hopefully that is the initial phase, and people get to know that the chances of being caught are high, and after that they will be deterred from throwing things out of the window. That will be the best outcome.
But MP Liang Yinghua hopes more can be done.
NEA need to really enhance or invest in their investigative capabilities to really be able to collect evidence, to be able to scale up the high-rise the camera surveillance, high-rise littering camera surveillance, and then also importantly to harness technology to help find the culprit. For example, to use forensic tools like DNA, fingerprints and so on, because some of these items you can actually trace where it comes from which units.
Ultimately, they agree that education on social responsibility is key in changing these behaviors. The National Environment Agency says it will apply the law with relevant safeguards when it comes to offences committed by the elderly and vulnerable groups. No enforcement action will be taken against children under 12. Their parents will instead be advised to educate their children on proper litter disposal.